Good morning, everyone. I am Jake Pakanabehan, and my assigned topic is the learners with difficulty walking and moving from chapter 9. This chapter describes the various types of conditions which results the learners having difficulty walking and moving. It focuses on physical disabilities, neurological disorders, and other health impairments. It covers how these conditions affect learners and suggested accommodation and classrooms adaptations are also provided. Gross motor developmental milestones are also discussed, which could aid functional screening for this condition. Learners with difficulty walking and moving. The language that we use in describing learners could reflect and shape the way we think about them. For instance, let us look the difference between the child with disability and disabled child. When we say child with disability, this implies that the child has disability. On the other hand, disabled child could imply that this child disabled by circumstances, including people's attitude, resources, rather than one's physical disability. So I have here a table of handicap words and what to use instead. So try to avoid. First is handicapped child. Use instead disabled child. Suffer from a victim of. Use instead has the condition or has the impairment. Confined to a wheelchair or wheelchair bound. Use instead wheelchair user. Mentally handicapped learning disabled. Use instead learning difficulty. Crippled. Use instead disabled child. Spastic. Use instead has cerebral palsy. So in this chapter, we will discuss the learner with difficulty walking and moving, which include learners with physical disability, neuromotor impairments, or other health impairments. So first, we will going to define what is physical disability. So physical disability is a label given to a vast range of difficulties that have to do with physical functioning. It is a continuum wherein one end includes children with minor motor problems, and at the other hand, are children with very little control over their physical functioning. Physical disability or orthopedic impairment could be caused by congenital anomaly, including club foot, impairments caused by disease such as bone tuberculosis and impairments from other causes such as cerebral palsy, amputation, and fractures or burns. Physical difficulties turned into a disability. It prevents a person, thus disabling one from participating in society in general and in school in particular. For example, difficulties in doing the following could indicate that one is physically disabled: moving around school, moving within the classroom, and positioning with a lesson, assessing the curriculum in terms of hand skills. Other health impairments. So health impairments refers to condition of having limited strength, vitality, or alertness, which could limit one's participation in education. For example, when one has a heightened alertness toward environmental stimuli, it could limit one's alertness when it comes to educational environment. This could be chronic, long-lasting, and most often permanent condition that could result to special education. Or a cure, condition of limited duration but nevertheless could produce severe debilitating symptoms, health problem, or attention, which negatively affects one's school performance. Neuromotor impairment involves the central nervous system, which affects the ability to move, use feel or control certain body parts. So as a future educator, it is important for us to recognize creating an inclusive and supportive learning environment for all students, including those with physical disabilities and health impairments. These students often face unique challenges that can affect their academic performances, social interactions, and emotional well-being. My approach will focus on understanding their needs, adapting techniques, strategies, and fostering an inclusive classroom that empowers them to succeed. So, the first step in addressing the needs of students with physical disabilities and health impairments is understanding their individual circumstances. Each student's situation is unique, so it is essential to communicate with the students, their family, and healthcare professionals to gain insight into their abilities and limitations. Reviewing medical documentation, individualized education plan, or the IEPS will provide me a clear understanding of accommodating their requirements. Creating an inclusive and accessible classroom environment is priority for students with physical disabilities. I will ensure that, or we will ensure that the classroom layout accommodates mobility aids such as wheelchairs or walkers, and provide easy access to resources. For students with health impairments, we will implement flexible policies such as adjusting attendance requirements or extending deadline for assignments. By removing physical and procedural barriers, we can help the students feel more comfortable and included in the learning process. Typical and atypical development of gross motor, physical or skills. So let us define first what is gross motor skills. Gross motor skills are those which requires whole body movement. This involves the large muscles of the body and are used to perform everyday functions, including standing, walking, running, sitting upright, as well as eye-hand coordination skills. For us to be able to tell whether child gross motor function are developed, typically it is important for us to take note of the gross motor developmental milestone. So I have here a table of gross motor developmental milestone. First, age developmental milestone, possible implication if milestones are not achieved. So 0 to 6 months. Roll over, yung developmental milestone is roll over front back and back to front. Sit with support and then independently. So sa mga 0 to 6 months, di ba, ang mga bata kay ligid-ligid pa man siya, dili pa kayo palakaw. More on ligid-ligid pa, mukamang. Sits and supports and then independently. For 6 to 12 months, crawls forward on belly, assumes a seated position, grips on hands and knees, transition into different positions, sitting all fours, laying on tummy, pulls self to stand, walks while holding onto furnitures, take 2 to 3 steps without support, rolls to ball imitation of adults. So, kaning 6 to 12 months, mukha na ni siya, mukalabat na ang bata, di ba? As we observe, kay mukha na sila, like, na sila potential nga ganahan na sila magtindog-tindog. Like, kusog na sila mukamang, gusto na sila magligid-ligid, asa sila maabot. And then, from 18 months, sits, crawls, walks. Still has wide gait, but walking. Running is less clumsy. Pushes against a ball, does not actually kick a ball. So, at this month, in 18 months, kay mukha na sila, kusog na mudagan. Then, as you observe ka ng mga 18 months years old kay mudagan din, sige sila possible nga madagma, like that. Tas, mulingkod, mukro, mukamang, mulakaw na pod. Like, medyo sila yung potential nga mulakaw. So, in 5 years old, able to walk upstairs while holding an object na makasa ka na og hagdanan malay gidala nga mga object like lulaan. Walks backward to heel, jumps forward 10 times without falling, skate forward after demonstration, hangs from a bar for at least 5 seconds, step forward with leg on same side, a throwing arm with throwing a ball, catches a small ball using hands only. Na kaning 5 years old kani murag sipat na jud kayo niya as far as I observe. Kaya daghan na kayong mabuhat. How much can 6 years old? So in 6 years old, runs lightly and close, able to work on a balance beam, able to skip using skipping rope, can cover 2 meters with hooping, demonstrate nature's throwing and catching patterns, mature, jumping skills kanina dili murag na nila sila yung mga sakto-saktong panguna, although nga dili pa kayo siya kuhan like na dyan siya ibuon. So let's go back from the So I have here a table of gross motor developmental milestone. First, age, developmental milestone, possible implication if milestones are not achieved. So 0 to 6 months. Roll over, yung developmental milestone is roll over front back and back to front. Sit with support and then independently. So sa mga 0 to 6 months, di ba, ang mga bata kay magligid-ligid pa muna siya, dili pa kayo palakaw, more on ligid-ligid pa, mukamang, sits and supports and then independently. For 6 to 12 months, rolls forward on belly, assumes a seated position, grips on hands and knees, transition into different positions, sitting all fours, laying on tummy, pulls self to stand, walks while holding onto furnitures, take 2 to 3 steps without support, rolls to ball imitation of adults. So, kaning 6 to 12 months, mukha na ni siya, mukalabat na ang bata, diba? As we observe, kay mukha na sila, like, na sila potential nga ganahan na sila magtindog-tindog. Like, kusog na sila mukamang, gusto na sila magligid-ligid, as sila maabot. And then, from 18 months, sits, cross, walks. Still has wide gait, but walking. Running is less clumsy. Pushes against a ball does not actually kick a ball. So, at this month, in 18 months, kay mukha na sila, kusog na mudagan. As we observe ka ng mga 18 months years old, kay mudagan din, sige sila possible nga madagma, like that. Tas, mulingkod, mukro, mukamang, mulakaw na pod. Like, medyo sila yung potential nga mulakaw. So, let's go back in 0 to 6 months. A possible implication if milestones not achieved. Sa 0 to 6 months, kay poor muscle development for locomotion, delayed ability to pray independently. So, kung dili siya ma-achieve kay luya, ang mga muscle ang development, o delayed ang ability to play independently. So, kanang weak ang bata. So, in 6 to 12 months, delayed sensor development due to decreased ability to explore the environment, poor muscle development, and play skills. In 18 months, delayed play skills, difficulty interacting with environment due to delayed ability to mobilize effectively, poor muscle development. In 2 years, poor muscle development for running and jumping, delayed ability to play independently and interact with environment, decreased ability to interact socially. In 3 years, decreased opportunities for social interaction. poor development of the body awareness and movement planning skills, difficulties using playground equipment, difficulties or lack of confidence interacting with other children in active environment. 4 years, lack of confidence in movement, based activities, difficulties using playground equipment, difficulties or lack of confidence interacting with other physical and active environment. In 5 years, may result in poor self-esteem with comparing self to peers, lack of confidence in movement-based activities, difficulties participating in sport activities, difficulties playing with moving toys such as bikers and scooters, such as in 6 years, difficulty participating in sport activities may result in poor self-esteem when comparing self to peers, lack of confidence in movement-based activities.